Now, the big question for me this week is what do I do with Eberiche Eze? Find out in this video as I go through my Game Week 9 team selection. All right, I'm going to quickly canter through how my team got on in Game Week 8. I went through this in my transfer plans video yesterday, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. Blanks all round for my defenders. Flecken with 9 saves against Man United, making 9 points. Return for Rodgers. Another blank for Eze. Blank from Mbeumo. Salah, goal and assist. Chris Wood, a goal. Solanke, a blank. Little bit concerned about the positions that he's adopting. And then another blank as well for Erling Haaland. Looking at the team and where I could potentially make changes. Number 1, my defence and goalkeeper. Flecken hasn't kept a clean sheet yet this season. Gabriel, Trent, the fixtures get a little bit tough for them. They're kind of dropping off a little bit on the amount of clean sheets and attacking returns that they're actually getting. So a little bit concerned about those two. Could potentially do something there. I think Eze's got to go. 1 attacking return from 8 games so far this season. He's just burning a hole in my team at the moment, and I think it's time to get rid of him. Like I said, Haaland has blanked now in a couple games in a row. He just doesn't look at it, particularly without Kevin De Bruyne in the Man City team, who Pep has said is going to be out for a little while longer. So I don't think that bodes well for Erling Haaland. Solanke not been adopting the most attacking positions either. It seems traditional in like an Ange Postecoglou system based on his time at Celtic, that the number 9 in his front 3 kind of plays a little bit deeper, allowing the 2 wider players to do the goal scoring. You know, I'm not saying they're on the same level as the front 3 of Liverpool of years gone by, but Salah, Mane, Firmino, front 3, that's kind of what Spurs are playing at the moment with Solanke in there. So just one thing to bear in mind. And then, yeah, another blank for Eze. I think I need to get rid of him. So then, looking at the defence, I've got, to be honest, a little bit of a decision to make on who I actually start. And I've got to say, I don't think it's actually worth me selling Trent or Gabriel. They just offer so much from an attacking perspective that even if their team doesn't keep a clean sheet, I think they've got a real chance of getting an attacking return in pretty much any game that they play. So I'm not really too worried about keeping them. But the real decision I've got is, do I start Gabriel, Trent or Aina? And there's kind of a bit of a benching headache, I would say, between those at the moment. I think with Saliba being suspended for the Liverpool game, that greatly takes away from Arsenal's likelihood of keeping a clean sheet. And also, I think Saka could miss the game as well. They're missing Odegaard too. You know, a number of their key players are missing, which I think gives probably Liverpool the advantage in that one, in my personal opinion. It might not play out that way. So for that reason, I think I'm going to start Trent, start Aina, start Lewis and bench Gabriel. Now, I'm recording this video early on Wednesday morning. So Man City have not played in the Champions League yet. We don't know what their starting 11 looks like. So I'm assuming that Rico Lewis plays Southampton in Game Week 9, or starts against Southampton in Game Week 9, sorry. But you know, you can't be 100% sure if that's the case. So I'll keep an eye on the Man City team in the Champions League, see how many minutes he gets. He could get injured for all I know in that game. And then if something does happen with Lewis, or something happens which makes me doubt his ability to start against Southampton, then I can just bring Gabriel in. You know, starting Gabriel against Liverpool, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. I do also have a Greaves problem in my team at the moment, but I don't think I need to do anything about that immediately. He's out for a month, but he's 3rd on my bench. I have 2 other players on my bench that could come in ahead of him, including obviously Gabriel as a defender. So I don't think I urgently need to deal with him. I could do, but ultimately he's out for a month. I've never actually started him yet. I don't think I'll probably play him for the next month either. There's an international break mixed in there too, which will take up some of the time for his recovery. So realistically, he's got 2 or 3 games where he's not going to be in my team or not going to feature. So I don't think it's the end of the world if I keep him. All right, on to the midfield then. And before I actually go on to the players that I've picked, it's worth looking at the midfielders I've got at the moment. Rodgers, Eze, Mbeumo, Salah and Dibbling are the 5. And I've got to say, 4 of those 5 I think are absolutely fine. Rodgers, I'd be happy to play him week on week. I know he's cheap, but that's not putting me off the fact that I think he's a regular starter for Villa and should be a regular starter in my FPL team. Like, I'm happy to play him every week. Eze's the one that needs to go. And Mbeumo, Salah, Dibbling, they're all fine in my opinion. Eze is the one that needs to go. And I was saying this last week, but I think the best natural replacement for Eze is Brennan Johnson. Like for like, they're the same on price, both 6.7 million. I've checked the FPL price predictions, and it doesn't look like either of these player prices are going to change before the weekend. I will obviously monitor this as time goes on. I'm a little bit concerned about making this move early, purely because Tottenham play on Thursday. So, I don't want to make a transfer for a player that has a game in between his next Premier League fixture, because obviously anything can happen in that time. And also, Brennan Johnson got injured in that game. I'm in trouble. I just don't like the thought of it. And I will definitely hold on until Friday to confirm the move and make the transfer. But I just think Eze to Johnson is probably the smartest move to make. I also just wanted to do a little bit of a comparison between Son and Brennan Johnson. If I just go back to my team a second, in my transfer plans video, I was saying that I could make a number of transfers. I've got 4 free transfers with this team, right? I could have done a number of swaps. So I could have downgraded a defender, downgraded Solanke to allow me to upgrade Eze to someone like Son. But quite honestly, I just think that's too many moves to make. And comparing Johnson to Son has played 2 less games than Johnson, right? And has the same level of returns. But looking at the numbers, beyond just the goals and assists that they're putting up, I would make an argument, definitely for price and like points per million sort of value offered, but I would make an argument that Johnson is performing at at least a similar level to what Heung-min Son is doing. Heung-min Son is a player that always outdoes his XG season on season because he's such an elite finisher. So he's always going to outperform that. But I think, looking at the shots on target, shots in the box, XG, big chances, Brennan Johnson is performing, in my opinion, on a level with Heung-min Son this season when you just look at those numbers, right? So, that move I was planning before, downgrading defenders, downgrading Solanke in order to upgrade Eze to Son, I think on the face of it, it's a good move. But ultimately, I don't think I need to do that. I think I could quite happily just stick with Brennan Johnson go with Brennan Johnson and just make the one transfer. So I think that's likely what I'm going to do. So my midfield going into game week 9 will be Mo Salah, Mbeumo, Johnson and Rodgers. So Salah's got Arsenal away. Had it been with Saliba in the team, I would have been a little bit less confident in Salah returning. But, Saliba's not playing. It looks like Saka might be out. Looks like Odegaard might be out. I'm not saying that has a real impact on Salah's returns. But I do think they're facing a weakened Arsenal team. And Salah is still in red-hot form, right? Well, he has been all season. He's been looking really good. So, I like his ability to get returns in that game. Don't see any real reason to get rid of him. And Mbeumo, Ipswich at home. I'd actually suggest that Mbeumo is a bit of a rogue differential captaincy shout this week. It's a great fixture, a player in great form. I think he could do really well. I've gone for Brennan Johnson. Like I said, he's coming in 6.7 million like-for-like swap with Eze. And then Morgan Rodgers has got Bournemouth at home as his fixture. What a great fixture. I'm really looking forward to having him on my team for another week. Dibbling makes the bench. He's obviously got Man City away, so I don't see any real reason to even consider starting him this week, but he's there as a bench option as well. So that's the transfer I think I'm going to make, at least in my midfield. Up front then, I did mention when going through the points that my team scored in Game Week 8 that Solanke could potentially be on the chopping block with like the positions that he's been taking up, not actually looking like a proper, fox in the box sort of number 9 that I expected him to be when he signed for Spurs, to be completely honest with you. But I just don't think that there is a reason to transfer him out just yet. I also think that the way he plays and the position he takes up could be sort of opposition dependent. And the fixtures he's got coming up, I think he has a chance of scoring in all of them. Crystal Palace, Aston Villa and Ipswich is his next 3. And also, just one thing to say on that, I really want to save my transfers until game week 12. And the reason for doing that is around captaincy coming up. I spoke about this on my transfer plans video, right? But from game week 9 till game week 12, I'm quite happy to sit on my team as it is at the moment and not really change sort of the core structure of things. But come sort of game week 12, Haaland has got Tottenham and Liverpool, where you would argue that there are other players that are better captains, particularly Cole Palmer. So in game week 13, game week 12, you could argue that Palmer is the best captain alongside Salah. And then game week 13, I would make a bet basically that Palmer and Son are probably better captains than Haaland and Salah with the fixtures that they've got. So what I'm basically saying is I'm quite happy. It's not a case of limping through the game weeks, but I'm quite happy not to change a whole lot about the structure of my team until sort of game week 12 time. Because when you look there, Tottenham have got Man City, so I could at that point potentially look to take out Solanke and Johnson, my 2 Tottenham players, ahead of that Man City game, and replace them with Palmer, maybe. There's other players as well that are, you know. But my main thing is getting Palmer in, basically, from game week 12. I feel like I'm rambling a little bit there. But hopefully that makes sense. So I've got 4 free transfers left. I don't think I need to take out Greaves. The front 3, I think, is fine for the next 3 or 4 game weeks. I'm starting to lose faith in Solanke, but I don't think he's quite worth a transfer out just yet. Will I keep until the end of the season? Most likely not. But I do think at least until game week 12 it was, wasn't it, that we were talking about, I think I should leave my team sort of as it is because, you know, the case would be to bring in Cole Palmer, but he's got Newcastle, Man United, Arsenal. I don't think those are the 3 best fixtures to bring him in ahead of. But the real hop-on point for me for Cole Palmer is game week 12, and I'm going to need more than 1 transfer to bring him in. So ultimately, I'm quite happy to keep sort of the core fundamental structure of my team as it is, with my 4 free transfers and just carry on week. I might do something with Flecken at some point as well. We're just not fully confident in the Brentford's abilities to keep clean sheets, basically. And I think the likes of Onana and Pickford would probably end up being the top scoring goalkeepers in the league this season, or in FPL this season. But I don't think I need to do anything with him this week, particularly ahead of playing Ipswich at home. So pretty boring, I'm afraid, with my transfer plans, but I do just think I'm going to keep hold of most of the team as it is. I don't need to do anything knee-jerky on Haaland or Solanke or the defence just yet. I think it's fine for game week 9. The main thing is just getting rid of Eze, basically, and that's what I've done. So then just a final view of how the team is going to look. I'm going to go for Haaland as my captain. I think looking at the other players I have available, you know, even though he's been in poor form, Rodri and KDB are out, I think you can't miss the opportunity, in my opinion at least, to pass up the chance of captaining Haaland against Southampton. I spoke about it in a previous video, the Ultimate Guide video I made a few days ago. You know, there was a question mark, at least at the beginning of things. You know, could Haaland be a triple captaincy shout against Southampton? But I just don't think he's in the right place to be triple captaining him. You know, without KDB and Rodri in the team, I don't think he's looking anywhere near, well, he's not getting anywhere near the level of chances that he was getting. So I don't think there's a justification to triple captain him, but I still think he's the outstanding captain in this team this game week. So quite happy to go with him. Like I said, 4 free transfers left to take into next week, which should hopefully go up to 5 again. Nothing in the bank. Don't need anything in the bank really, but yeah, nothing in the bank. Again, I won't make the Eze to Johnson move until Johnson has completed his game in Europe. And I might even wait until Friday just to make sure that no news has come out overnight that he's left the stadium on crutches or anything like that other FPL assets have done. So yeah, I'm going to wait to make the move. It doesn't look like there's going to be any price changes, at least for the time being, although they are notoriously impossible to predict. So it looks like Eze is going to stay at 6.7, and it looks like Johnson is going to do the same. So I don't need to rush that transfer. And to be honest, if I did need to make that transfer, there's a starting Ipswich, I can't remember his name, there's a starting Ipswich defender that will replace Greaves that's currently in the game at 3.9 million. And that might allow me, if, for example, I can't do the Johnson to Eze move because I'm 0.1 short, it should allow me to downgrade Greaves and then make that move. So that's something I could do as an option. I'd rather do that than make the move early and then be screwed because Johnson has gotten injured. So according to Fantasy Football Hub, you can put your own team in their AI points prediction and team rating tool yourself. There's a link in the description to sign up to Fantasy Football Hub. 66 expected points for this team if I captain Erling Haaland, which I think is a pretty respectable game week score, and a 94% AI rating. So that's my team for game week 9. All right, and that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed that. I know this video is quite similar to the transfer plans video I made yesterday, but I mean, ultimately, my transfer plans are going to be similar to my team selection because they're what I'm going to do with my FPL team. So hopefully that makes sense. Unless anything drastic happens to Brennan Johnson, I think that's all I'm going to do with my team this week. I think it's a good team. It doesn't need drastic changes. Just 1 transfer on Eze, I think, is all it will take. And maybe 1 with Greaves, depending on what happens with price changes. So if you enjoyed the video, I'd really appreciate it if you could leave me a like rating. Let me know in the comments if there are any other transfers or changes you would make. I know it's a little bit boring, but, you know, the game is 38 game weeks long. You're not going to win it just by making transfers in 1 game week. So I'm happy to be patient, stick with the team that I've got. I've picked them for a reason, and then we'll go from there. So if you haven't already, by the way, I think 75% of people that watch my videos have not subscribed. So you can subscribe to the Golden Goal channel. Should be just there on your screen. Thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you in my next video.